So college football has been kind of split down TV lines for the last couple of years, essentially since the Big Ten Network started. There has been a Fox contingent of college football and an ESPN contingent of college football. And then when the Big Ten went away from ESPN completely to go with NBC and CBS, along with the Big Ten Network and Fox, there has been this divide between one side versus the other side. And it's not like a specific thing to college football. You get your Coke versus your Pepsi and your McDonald's versus, I don't know, whoever the hell. But it's not the first time that you get kind of two sides of one coin. And when that happened, because TV money has completely dominated college football, I wondered just how long it would be until you would start to see that play out on TV, where you would see teams from the Big Ten, maybe not, or maybe the Big Ten wouldn't contract with bowl games that are owned by ESPN. I think the average college football fan knows that ESPN owns a big chunk of the bowl games. Like ESPN, and to their credit, like they saw how important, impressive it was for them, and they started launching bowl games wherever they could get them. And they know that, like, hey, if I control the content, if I control who plays where, who plays what, and they don't only own bowl games, they own some of the, preseason college, I guess not preseason, but the regular season college basketball, that they multi-team events. So you get your 8-team tournaments in Myrtle Beach and at Walt Disney World and things like that. They own those. And it's a smart play. Like, hey, if I don't have to rely on somebody else, I don't have to worry about the decisions of somebody else, I can create whatever bowl game I want, sign up some conferences to play in it, and then on December 23rd at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, I've got programming people want to watch. And for the There Are Too Many Bowls crowd, I've always, like, would you rather watch the Young and the Restless, or would you rather watch Central Michigan play UAB? Okay, that's a pretty easy decision for me, but that's nonetheless. I've always wondered if we'll get to a point where the Big Ten says, like, hey, we're not gonna sign up for bowls that are owned by ESPN anymore because we're not an ESPN entity. They don't want a business relationship with us. We're not going to air outside of, the college football playoff, or in the past, the New Year's Six bowls. Like, obviously, you're going to be participating in that they just happen to air on ESPN. Like, ESPN doesn't own the Cotton Bowl, Peach Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, whatever. They own the Myrtle Beach Bowl and the Bahamas Bowl and the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl, or whatever the case may be. But Fox today has announced plans for a basketball tournament that's going to essentially be a rival to the NIT. It's called the College Basketball Crown. It's going to be made up of teams from the Big Ten, Big East, and Big 12. Those are the three leagues that they have the TV rights to. So essentially what they're saying is we're going to have basically a made-for-TV invitational for teams that don't make the NCAA tournament. And we're going to bring them to Las Vegas and play basically a week-long tournament. And there'll be a champion. And essentially they're taking the Big 10, Big East, and Big 12 out of the NIT, putting them in their own tournament that's going to air on Fox and FS1. Which there are problems with from the get-go, but I think there are going to be similar problems if they tried to do something similar in football. If Fox tried to put together its own bowl game slate, or whatever the case may be, because college basketball is going through the same issues that college football goes through at the end of the season, that the transfer portal opens at a really inopportune time. And so you're dealing with still trying to compete while still trying to keep your players that you want on your roster, while still trying to add players through the transfer portal. It's a really kind of bad schedule, a bad timeline to try to wade through those kind of murky waters of, We want the practice time. We still want to compete. We want to keep our guys out of the portal while getting everybody else's guys from the portal. And college football has that at the same time during bowl games. But I wonder if you see, like, this is clearly hey, why in the world am I letting, for instance, like Seton Hall is going to be in the NIT finals, the Final Four, the NIT. Seton Hall's in the Big East. Fox is essentially saying, why am I letting somebody that I control the TV rights to go play in a tournament that airs on ESPN? Why am I letting that happen when I can just create something that is essentially going to contractually obligate the people that I am paying hundreds of millions of dollars to keep their stuff with me? And I think it's going to be a fair point for college football too, is in Fox Sports' mind. Why am I letting Oklahoma State play Northwestern in a bowl game that airs on ESPN when I could let that happen on Fox? So I just wonder if this is kind of a test run, a trial balloon, if you will, for Fox to say, hey, can we be not only in the content business, can we be in the event business? Because there are two separate things. Now, ESPN Events is its entire other division from just regular ESPN, but it makes sense for ESPN to be in the events business. Like, when you broadcast events, being in the events business makes a lot of sense. So is this a potential start of a bowl game division for Fox? I somewhat wonder that, because for a sport that goes so heavily into college football in the fall with Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, Big Ten Network, it's basically absent from the bowl game slate. I think they have the Holiday Bowl, and that's it. So you have anywhere from like 10 to 15 games every Saturday. And starting this year, you're going to have games on Friday and Saturday. So then you get to like the kind of most watched portion of the college football season, bowl games. And I'm not somebody, I don't think we're going to see bowl games go away. By the way, like I don't think you're going to see the NIT is struggling right now because the transfer portal opens and all at a rough time and all of those things. I think you're going to see bowl games continue despite there being an expanded college football playoff. I think the tradition is so strong and entrenched in college sports that it's just lasted for this long that it's not, if it does go away, it's going to be a slow withering away. It's not going to be hey, there's 14 teams in the college football playoff. If you're not one of those 14, sorry. Especially when like ESPN owns a big chunk of the bowl games, they're going to say like, hey, we have an invested reason to keep these things alive because we need TV shows. So I don't think bowl games are going to go away by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, I wonder how many of the bowl games are going to be up for grabs, so to speak, because is it going to be more lucrative for those games to be owned by Fox and ESPN? Yeah, I think so. I think 100%. Yeah. And don't be surprised if you see Fox and NBC work together, or Fox and CBS work together, CBS and NBC work together to say, hey, let's get a Big Ten bowl game. Let's get a Big Ten versus whoever bowl game. Because when everybody is so worried about, we got to put like, one, live sports is still pretty much the only thing that drives live television viewing, coupled with, if I own the rights to Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Indiana, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, Oklahoma State, Texas Christian, Baylor, you get all these, and then you watch them play big time games on your competitor. I just think these TV networks are spending too much money to let that happen. So don't be surprised if eventually there is, and I don't think it's a tournament by any stretch of the imagination, but I wouldn't be shocked if this is a ploy down the line for Fox to kind of dip their toe in the water and say, all right, instead of being in just the content business, we're now in the events business, which means a new bowl game in Las Vegas, a new bowl game in Los Angeles, or the purchase of bowl games in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, New Orleans, Miami, destination cities. And hey, those bowl tie-ins are Big 10 and Big 12 and Mountain West. I think TV is going to play a really prominent role in the future of non-college football playoff postseason games, because in this case, Fox has watched, ESPN has the NIT and the women's NCAA tournament, CBS and Turner Sports, or I guess CBS and TNT Sports is what it's called now, have the men's NCAA tournament. So everybody's got kind of this like slice of the pie of the postseason basketball tournament that they don't have anything of. And so it just makes logical sense for them to say, hey, we want in on this. And I think it makes logical sense for them to say, we've got 15 college football games for like 4 straight months, and then we don't do any bowl games, and we let the people we own the rights to go play on other networks. I think TV is going to play an ever-increasing role in not only the regular season, but the postseason of college football. And I think you'll see non-college football playoff games being added, or at least the rights to those games being gobbled up. So Fox One has a vested interest in the postseason, but then also it's a nice little kicker you can give to the teams that you're paying hundreds of millions of dollars to, of like, hey, by the way, we've got exclusive bowl games just for you guys. It makes the Big 10 and Big 12 feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside too. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. Appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content that we're pumping out here on Saturday Glory. If you are listening on the podcast feed, drop a 5-star review. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. I'll be back at it tomorrow. I'll see you then here on the Daily Huddle with Saturday Glory.